Today, I will share a real example of a leader who hired the right operations leader to generate over $1 million more profit than he would otherwise have within a year. And I will give you my top interview questions and onboarding tips for this role. Hiring the right operations leader can be a game changer if you're looking to scale your business and free up time to work on only your highest level value activities. Here are some of the most impactful questions you can use when hiring an operations leader. And I'll provide links in the comments or somewhere in this area when you see this to a document that actually has all these questions. I'll also provide some tips on what things have been really effective in onboarding operations leaders that I myself have used and some of my clients have used that they've given me feedback on. So here's some of my top interview questions. I'm only going to go through the top 3 of this list, about 10 or so. You can get the detailed document somewhere. You'll find a link here where you can get access to that. So top 1, discuss a few instances in which your ideas improved operations in your prior experience. So the reason this is a really important question is the right candidate should be able to proactively come up with identifying solutions for problems that maybe other people don't even know they have. And hopefully, if they worked somewhere before in a similar role, they'll have lots of examples, and these should be high value examples. If they can't think of examples, or the examples are very low value, and by low value, I mean, impacts the company's bottom line in a very minimal way. I saved 10 cents on paper cups versus I implemented a CRM that doubled our revenue. So those are the kinds of, for mindset, that's kind of what we're looking for. Next question. Tell me about a challenging situation you faced in a previous role and how you resolved it. This is an important question because it'll test the candidate's problem-solving abilities, how they made decisions, how they communicated it, were they resilient under pressure. I would probe a little bit more, look for specific examples again that highlight their leadership, and I would look for specific examples again that would highlight their leadership and operational acumen. Third question I like is, how do you prioritize tasks and delegate responsibilities to ensure smooth operations? This question can actually go into their personal lives to just ask them, how do you organize your own work? How do you organize your work at home? And people have different ways to manage things, but it'll give you an idea of how organized or not they are. You generally want people that are extremely organized, extremely process oriented, because at least I've observed that that's been a key to success in operations. So if you can manage tasks efficiently and effectively, if you can allocate resources, you could balance your workload among team members, those are all things you're looking for. And one more that kind of ties into the first question is, hey, can you share an example of a successful process improvement initiative that you led in your previous role? So not so much did they come up with it, but if they were given something to improve, how did they implement it? You're looking for someone's ability to drive change within an organization, demonstrating that they could think strategically, be analytic, implement improvements, and also collaborate with different parts of an organization. So those are just a few of them. And you can see the rest of the questions in the document I'm providing. Also, I'm going to just share the top 3 onboarding tips. So first tip is, when you onboard someone, and this should be part of their description, is make it clear that the new hire will be responsible for either creating or updating the standard operating procedures, or SOPs, for the critical processes. Now, I have a whole perspective on this. You don't want to make these procedures really too detailed where it's cumbersome, no one can maintain it. A lot of people are using digital tools and videos to create like a dashboard. Notion's been pretty popular for this with a lot of former clients. So you want to make it clear that that's part of the responsibilities to standardize the things. Again, if you have some SOPs in place, this is a good place for them to start. And it ties into the second thing that I would recommend, is using the see one, do one, teach one method. So this is basically, first, the see one part is the learner is observing you, or if you're the leader or an experienced person, the trainer, the mentor, performing the task. They demonstrate the skills. They focus on understanding the process during this time and the techniques. They also, if they have an SOP, this is the new hire, If they have an SOP or are creating an SOP, it's a great time for them to start basically taking notes on what you're showing them, and they can ask the good questions there. So the next step, the do one, is you do one together. So after they see you do it, let's say it's something like payroll. After they see you do payroll, then you're going to do it together. So basically have them take it as far as they can, ask more questions, add to that standard operating procedure. This is an opportunity for you to correct them and also see how much they retained or they didn't. And then finally, let's say the next round payroll comes up or some other process, operations process comes up, then you're going to teach them. I'm sorry, they're going to teach you. So for teach one, this is the final stage. They get to do it on their own or teach you, and you get to observe. They may ask additional questions, which is great. And along the way, they're even further refining the standard operating procedure for whatever the task is. So again, see one, do one, teach one method. Highly recommend using that. And the bonus is, because it's a new person in your organization, when you have to document the process and really think through how would I actually teach this to someone else, a lot of times redundancies are found. Someone will ask a question, well, like, how come we did this here and we're doing it here? Why don't we use this software or something to make it easier? So that's always a bonus to get a fresh set of eyes on your process. And then the third thing, which is super helpful, is creating an operations calendar. So operations requires managing a lot of processes and things that happen daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual. Sometimes even things like trademarks could need to be attended to every 10 years. So the solution is to create, through a spreadsheet or a calendar or something, easy way to manage and also add on, because things will come up, new laws will be passed, new regulations will happen, to basically track all this in one place. So that's super helpful, both from an onboarding perspective, but if you don't have one in place, that's great. Have the new hire start to create the operations calendar. So I am now going to transition to a discussion I had with Matt Strong, and the rest is self-explanatory. He basically hired someone to do operational things in his organization, and he'll share with you what the benefits are. Hi, Matt. Could you tell me a little bit about your company and what you do?
You bet. So I'm Matt Strong. I'm in Salt Lake City. I primarily these days do bridge loans, short-term lending to local Utah real estate investors that are buying and fixing and flipping homes. So I provide them quick capital so they can buy their homes and flip them and then sell them, and hopefully everybody makes a little bit of money.
Great. And we spoke about a year ago. I was taking you through, I think we're driving around town. I was taking you through the framework, identifying what your most important number is, what the key drivers are for your business, and what your biggest opportunity was. And we landed on actual operations. You didn't have an operations leader. And I shared with you some information on what to look for in an operations leader, et cetera. And you said you had the perfect person. So can you share with us what happened since then and the return on investment and finances behind that?
Perfect. And before that, the best part about how I met you was we were in a group together and we really connected. And so number one, having a really solid network was super important for me because I met you. And then we were able to have the connection where we could talk, pretty candidly about different things. And my business revolves around new deals coming in the door. And at that time, I was front stage, backstage, doing everything. I was receiving all the requests for loans, processing all of it. And what I needed someone, which I ended up defining as like, an administrative assistant or, a right-hand executive team member that would help me onboard and communicate and interface with all my many borrowers on the front end. And after you and I talked, I kind of had that motivation of like, I think I know what I'm looking for, but you really helped me clarify and bring it down from the clouds and this obscure, like, I think I know, to like, okay, this is exactly who I need and why I need them. And I think, Ollie, within like, 30 days or something of us doing that, like, plan was in place. You also followed up with me. And then I hired Bailey, who's now been about a year and a half on my team. And really, in an ideal world, if I don't mess up and get involved like I sometimes do, she can really handle all of what I was doing before. which frees me up to focus on the higher level stuff that I really should be doing, and not in the weeds of more of the day-to-day stuff. So that was super critical of helping just clarify from the confusion that I had to bringing it down to like a laser focus where I could actually see it and know what I was looking for and who I was looking for to help me with my problem at that time.
That's great. And I do remember one part of our conversation when I asked, okay, so I just imagine, because initially I don't think you thought it was possible to get fully out of most of it. I said, what would be different for you if you actually had the time to not do that stuff? Like, what would you spend your time on? You said, oh, I would just be able to look for even better deals and better network, et cetera. And I said, okay, so if you did that for a year and you got those better deals that right now maybe you don't have time to look into, what would that translate to financially? And I think the number was well over $1 million.
Yeah.
And so tell me, like, have you seen those kinds of results in as a result of having Bailey on board?
Yeah, it's weird because it frees up your mental space, because I know that there's certain things that I don't need to deal with that I was dealing with before. So then it creates a little bit of calm and confidence to see things that I wasn't seeing before, because I was too in the weeds of the day-to-day. So it was almost like I had time to breathe a little bit. And so yes, I've definitely found deals or restructured deals that I wouldn't have had time for. But maybe the more important thing that is going to more than hit that number you mentioned is giving me more time to think and be strategic about where I'm going next, and if it even makes sense to go there next. Because I think I was just in this hamster wheel of like, this is just, I got, go without really having time to like think of like, is this the best use of my time? And so not only my time with my current business, but other opportunities or way to pivot, and just getting out of your business as much as you can and hiring the right people to have help has, I mean, at a basic level, just mental health. Like, I'm not working the weekends like I was, or, after hours to catch up on things that I was neglecting because I was so in the weeds of doing the day-to-day. So, I mean, it's still a work in progress, but it's been the first pivot that will allow me to see that bigger future, and and keep growing in the way that I should be growing, not just in the weeds and stuff like that.